invite Engineer Manua to make a few remarks.
A lot has been said about artificial intelligence, and a lot can be done. But what we are here to witness is different. AI is no longer a tool. AI is now a way of life. It's a way of business. And we are so happy from this institution. I stand by that protocol. Your Excellencies here, honorable members, members of the institution, fellows, engineers, our guests, fellow Zimbabweans. This is a great day for us as the Sustainable Development Goals give us some hope of how we can deal with the challenges of vulnerabilities that face the world. Engineering is a solution-oriented profession, and Nkoma Arthur here with us, and many of his colleagues who happen to have shared our heritage at the University of Zimbabwe and left for Oxford and many other places. I think that I will leave to the presenter. But we are very happy and lucky to have him, James Manika, and Strive in this AI space. Masiwa and James, and they are part of our front-end defense for bringing this technology back home. It's about the new way of life. It's about how we can leapfrog, not only as Africa, but as Zimbabwe. And I think to unpack that, I challenged Nkoma Arthur when I thought he was giving us a tall order that is going to launch 3 books on AI and this year. And I told him it's not possible. More so when you take AI outside our engineering space and start addressing robust things like sustainable development goals. He says that just to watch this space. By the end of the year, we are launching the 3rd one, and it's on sustainable development goals. Now seeing is believing. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the book. Where I come from as the Vice President of the World Federation of Engineering Organizations in our last capacity building meeting, I told them about this book. We are going to have a General Assembly in Shanghai, and they've asked me to humbly ask the author to also come and launch it in China, because this is the recipe for us to leapfrog, and also as the Global South to catch up on the Sustainable Development Goal deficit, where we are at about 17% or less, especially as Africa. I would not want to take the thunder out of the presenter. I would like to leave all this time for all of you to relax, listen, and make sure that we ask as much as we can what solutions this book has to offer.
We will now ask Professor Mutambara to present to us. He's not presenting just on artificial intelligence. He's presenting on artificial intelligence and development. That's what the SDGs are all about. Development. Artificial intelligence and development. So he must bring it to a level where we can relate to what it means in our lives, or what it can mean in our lives, in the lives of people in every sphere of society. Professor Mutambara.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Okon. I'll write on the existing protocol, but I want to recognize the Minister of Public Service, Labor and Social Welfare, Minister Edgar Moyo, Minister Mavetera, I'm sure she's on her way. Colleagues, thank you very much for coming. We are talking about deploying artificial intelligence to achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals. We are trying to link AI to human development, AI to development. And in particular, we want to identify the enablers, the drivers, in particular position what we call a strategic framework. That's our agenda today as we launch this book, Deploying Artificial Intelligence to Achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals. We are linking AI to human development. We are saying, why don't we use AI to drive human development and preserve the planet? That is the mandate. That is the agenda of this book. Linking AI to human development, using AI as a driver of human development, as a tool to preserve the planet. That's what we seek to do today. By way of definition, sustainable development is about aiming to balance economic growth, social inclusion, and environmental protection to ensure a prosperous future for all. That is the definition of sustainable development, ensuring that the needs of the present are met without compromising the ability for future generations to meet their own needs. That is a working definition, a working understanding of sustainable development. And in doing that, we have 5 P's: people, prosperity, partnership, peace, and planet. Right in the middle of that, we get sustainable development. It is not an innocuous subject. It's a very controversial concept. Some people are not very happy with this notion. In fact, in particular, the interpretation of sustainable development. Here is the argument, and we push it in the book. Sustainable development can't be an end in itself. Sustainable development must deliver socio-economic transformation. So as we engage, as we talk about sustainable development, it can't be an end in itself. We want it to deliver socio-economic transformation. It must improve the quality of life for all people. It must produce inclusive economic growth and shared prosperity. You know, that one, even America is not doing well on that one. The Americans are not doing well on that. The Europeans, their growth is not shared. Their growth is not inclusive. Their prosperity is not shared. Our sustainable development must ensure that it produces inclusive economic growth. That is a critique of the interpretation of sustainable development. A starving peasant cannot have a green agenda. How do you demand a green agenda from a starving peasant? They'll eat grass if need be and cause deforestation because a starving peasant cannot have a green agenda. A person who's never experienced an electric bulb, a person who's never experienced electricity cannot condemn fossil fuels. So when you go around condemning fossil fuel, we must migrate to renewable energy. Always remember, if I've never experienced electricity, I can't join you in your condemnation of coal, in your condemnation of oil. No, do it alone. Because I've never seen an electric bulb. What we are saying is that addressing energy poverty should be priority number 1 globally. The energy transition must be anchored on poor people's terms. Yes, to the just transition from fossil fuels to green energy, but on our terms as Africans, on our terms as members of the Global South. We have a challenge around energy poverty. Energy poverty takes a precedence, is more important than the transition. Of course, we'll be very happy if energy poverty can be solved by using green energy. That would be very good because we're achieving two goals. We're doing the transition, we're solving energy poverty. But in our minds as poor people, in our minds as the global south, we would want to say energy poverty is more important than the transition. So make sure as you push for the transition, you're solving the challenge of energy poverty. We are saying this to say, when we say sustainable development, when we say climate change agenda, there are issues that are not shared. President Museveni is a very interesting character on this subject of sustainable development. He says, no. We don't want that thing. I've never seen sustainable pregnancy. The baby must be born, grow into a teenager, and become an adult. He's critiquing an approach to sustainable development which does not deliver. He wants to see economic transformation. He wants to see socio-economic transformation. He wants to see the end to poverty. In his mind, he's saying that what we have is not sustainable development, it's sustainable underdevelopment. We're dramatizing that. Our interpretation of sustainable development must make sure that we do deliver on the agenda. This is the context in which we talk about the SDGs. These are 17 goals for the people, 17 goals to preserve the planet. 17 interconnected goals adopted by the UN in 2015 as part of Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development, targeting economical, social, and environmental development. A comprehensive framework to achieve sustainability globally by 2030. Addressing issues such as poverty, hunger, health, education, gender. This is what we mean by the UN SDGs. And we are saying in this book, why don't we use technology to achieve this? What are these things? We want the end to poverty. That's number one. We want zero hunger in the world. In this day and age, poverty is a choice. Humanity is choosing poverty. If we work together, we must be able to end poverty. We want good health and well-being. We want quality education. We want gender equality. We want clean water and sanitation. We want affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth. We want industry, innovation and infrastructure. We want to reduce inequalities. We want sustainable cities and communities. And oh yes, we want responsible consumption and production. We want to solve the climate change agenda. We want to deal with life below water, life above land. We want peace, justice, and strong institutions, democracy, free and fair elections, good governance, good country governance. That's number 16. And of course, to do all these things, we must have partnerships in pursuit of the goals. What we are saying in this book, Dr. Makoni, is to say, these are very important objectives, goals. In fact, Minister Moyo, if the government of Zimbabwe, the government of Malawi, of Nigeria were to come up with answers to the 17 problems, you have a solution, you have a program for the country. For those running political parties, the wannabes who want to get into power, when you are working on your manifesto, if you can give us answers to the 17, you have your manifesto. They are very exhaustive. They cover everything. What we are saying in the book is number one, where are we? Why are we not achieving the 17? We address that in the book. Then we say, forget technology, forget AI. What interventions can we do to ensure that in 2030 we achieve these goals? Then we zero down and say, okay, how about transformative technologies? How can we use them to achieve the 17? And then more specifically, how can we use AI to achieve the 17? That is the agenda of the book we're launching today. You can cluster the goals into social, environmental, and economic. It's a very subjective classification. But when we say social, it's very important because these are the basics. We must solve the issue of poverty. We must solve the issue of quality of education. We must provide affordable, clean energy, the issue of energy poverty, zero hunger, gender equality. These 9 are very important in particular because we're trying to include everyone. Why is it hard? We must also acknowledge that they are interrelated. For example, 13 and 17 affect all of them. They're interconnected, they affect each other. Why don't we use AI to understand the interconnectedness of things, the interrelatedness of things in terms of the SDGs? What are we saying? We must measure our progress or lack of it. That which is measured gets done. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. We have 17 goals, 169 targets, 232 indicators in 195 countries. Normally we say 193, but then 195 if you include the Vatican City and the state of Palestine. Now it's even more important because there's starvation, there's genocide in Gaza. We must find a way to ensure that in the 195 countries, we're making progress in terms of achieving the 17 goals. And you already can see the role of AI there. AI can be used to monitor, to evaluate, you can have a dashboard, Minister Moyo, where you just press a button on goal number 17 and you can have your outcome produced. At the UN, we can have a dashboard with all the countries. That can be done using AI, as we'll see later on. This is the framework we're trying to say, can we enable this framework using AI? Can we make this happen using technology? Just to illustrate, this is how you do your target and indicators. For example, you can say target 1.1. By 2030, eradicate extreme poverty for all people everywhere, measured as people living on less than $1 a day. That's the target. Indicator, proportion of the population living below the international poverty datum line, by sex, by age, and so on. We are emphasizing measurement, monitoring, and evaluation. AI can be used to do that. One thing we are also emphasizing in the book is what we call the circular economy. And that's driven by SDG 11 and 12. Sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production. We must make sure that our economies are circular if we are going to achieve the SDGs, if we are going to solve the climate change challenge. That's what a circular economy looks like. You produce, you use, you reduce, recycle, and reuse. Most of us are on a linear economy. We don't want a linear economy. We want a circular economy. What are you doing in your company to drive a circular economy? And those in the private sector, the ESG framework is linked to the SDGs, environmental, social, governance. How are you linking your ESG framework in the company with the national SDG framework? And as you do this, we want to learn from the MDGs that expired in 2015 and the SDGs which are expiring in 2030. We must also compare achievement in the global north, achievement in the global south, and get lessons from the two on all the 17. In the book, we look at all 17 from 1 to 17. So, Dr. Ayo, I hope you're here, Dr. Ayo from UNDP. Where are we? What is the state of play in terms of SDGs in the year 2025? We are 5 years away from 2030. Where are we is the question. Where are we, Minister Moyo? Here is the answer. Only 35%. Humanity is failing. Comrade Shingimutasa, we charge you with failure. Professor Maduku, Professor Nyemba, you are a failure. 35%. In fact, we're being generous. It's 18%. On target, we're 18%. Moderate progress, 17%, so we say 35%. Albert Nyati, the poet of people who are failures. Humanity has failed in the year 2025. 35%. What does the SG say about this? With just 5 years to reach the goals, we are in trouble. We must get into overdrive. I don't know what he means by that, this dude. The UN Secretary General says we must go into overdrive. But what we're saying is, Mr. Secretary General, as part of your overdrive, we want to do this. This is the context in which we are talking about deploying AI to achieve the UN SDGs, because we acknowledge that we're failing. So we are trying everything in the book to achieve the SDGs. Number one, let us understand why we are failing. Number two, forget technology. What should we do in general to achieve the SDGs? Then number three, let's talk about technology in general. Renewable energy, mobile telephony, blockchain, and AI in general. Then more specifically, we go to artificial intelligence. AI, we are simply saying the development of computer systems or algorithms with the capacity to perform tasks requiring human-like intelligence, like learning, like problem solving, like decision making. If we get that in a computer system, if we get that in a program, we have AI. Simple. And the taxonomy is as follows. I won't go into the details, just to know that there is single task AI, agentic AI, and then what we call artificial general intelligence, getting complex now, and super intelligence. I'll emphasize the last two. Artificial general intelligence is a computer system or machine that will exhibit all human cognitive capabilities, reasoning, problem solving, creativity, and social skills, just like you. You know, it's easy to build a robot that does one thing, or an AI system that does one thing. When we say AGI, we're saying all human cognitive capabilities, reasoning, problem solving, creativity, and social skills in the machine. We have not achieved this yet. AGI is work in progress. Superintelligence gets even more complicated. This is a computer system or machine which surpasses human intelligence across all domains. Reasoning, problem solving. We are now talking about an AI system smarter than the smartest human being. Smarter than Newton in terms of IQ, Einstein, Elon Musk, whoever can think of, the machine will be superior. We are not there yet. Outperforming the brightest person in every intellectual task, leading to AI self-improvement and unpredictable outcomes. I say this to say, as we embrace AI for the SDGs, we must know the dangers, we must know the possibilities. But we're saying the possibilities must be used to say, why don't you use superintelligence to solve poverty? How can we have superintelligence in the world and have some hungry people? Can we use superintelligence to address the issue of hunger of poverty. Of course, these are the reasons why we're having a challenge with AGI. I won't go into that. And the framing. I know you're coming from different areas, but have a rudimentary understanding of AI. Deep learning is a subset of machine learning. Machine learning is a subset of AI. And the same applies to neural nets and so on. You know, when we say a revolution, Dr. Makoni, we mean just that. Just last year, 2 Nobel Prizes were produced by AI innovations. The Nobel Prize in Physics and the Nobel Prize in Chemistry all came from AI. John Hopfield and Geoffrey Hinton. The first one on foundational contributions to machine learning and neural networks. Okay? And then Geoffrey Hinton, who is the father of AI, for work on what's called back propagation in deep learning. Can you imagine one technology is producing 2, and chemistry, your favorite subject, Dr. Makon, is being driven by AI. The Nobel Prize in Chemistry, David Baker and his colleagues, for their advancement in protein structure prediction using AI. AlphaFold worked through Google's DeepMind. So, in terms of science, in terms of physics, in terms of biology, AI is the mover. And of course, you know the different generative AI examples there. Recently, we had Grok 4. Now, this one is very interesting because we now have an examination here. I hope the professors are here. There's a new exam in town. It's called Humanities Last Exam. What we do, we take PhD questions in every field. PhD in economics, biology, physics, vet science, medicine, Shona, hopefully. Psychology. PhD level questions. And you put them into that machine. When you do that, you create what is called Humanities Last Exam. We're doing this because you love exams. Grade 7 exams, Form 2 exams, Form 4 exams, Form 7. My exam was Zama. Saka, we will give you Zama. Humanities Last Exam, Vamakoni. We're taking 1,000 subjects. Questions at PhD level. Put them in that machine. And guess what? Your smartest person in the world with the IQ of 276, which is very high because normally it's about 120. They're getting 3% or 5% in this. Because you might be a physicist, you get your answers on physics, but you get 0 on sociology, 0 in economics, 0 in law, 0 in vet science. So the most that the human being, like Ken Sharp, is getting maybe 2%. Professor Maduku, 2%. Professor Nyemba, 1%. Where are the machines? 44%. Grok 4 on the 9th of July 2025. It was 10 times smarter than the smartest human being. I know intelligence is more than an exam. Okay? We know that. But if we take that narrow definition of intelligence, zamanishe, zama, remunofarira maningi. Imomo muzama, the smartest person is getting 3 to 5%. The machine is at 44%. All we're dramatizing is that super intelligence is possible. We're not there yet, but by just looking at examinations, when we talk about humanities last exam, where we have 1,000 subjects and PhD level questions, we are being beaten by the machine. But don't worry, there's what we call human augmentation. We don't seek to replace the human being. Ideally, what we want is the person plus the machine. The person plus the AI. That's a better profession. It's called human augmentation. A human doctor plus an AI doctor, that's a better doctor. So I put this here to say, don't worry. The future belongs to a combination of AI and the person, human augmentation. Okay? ChatGPT 5 came out, the strengths there. I want to dramatize that, listen, as we embrace AI for SDGs, there are problems in these machines. Bias, data security, job displacement, ethical issues. AI in the hands of bad actors. You can come up with the rules and governance, but if I'm a thief, I'll use AI to steal. I won't obey your rules. So what do we do when AI is in the hands of bad actors? Fake news, disinformation, theft, and of course wars. Hallucinations. You know, I know that there have been some stories in the media where some lawyers were having fictitious references. It's called hallucinations. We actually know the problem. AI will give you wrong answers. AI will give you fictitious references. AI will give you fictitious citations. Use with care. Although ChatGPT 5 claims that they fixed the problem, you must find a way, there's a way of avoiding that. Major issue that we seek to address today is the issue of widening the gap between the haves and the have-nots. Why are we not using the SDGs to close that problem of global inequality? And of course, data colonialism. Of course, digital imperialism. We must talk about decoloniality in AI. We must talk about decolonizing AI. We must talk about democratizing AI. And of course, the issue of the arms race. More significantly, these AI systems are not neutral. They carry the values and interests of the creators. There's a good book there called Genesis, done by Kissinger before he died, with those tech gurus, Eric Schmidt and Craig. It's called Genesis. You must go and read that book. When Kissinger was launching, when Isaacson was launching it, he says this, and that's Walt Isaacson. We must make sure that these AI systems reflect our American values, our Western values, not those of the Chinese. So the creators of ChatGPT, the creators of Meta AI, the creators of, they have ambitions to propagate their values and their interests. We must ensure that these AI systems reflect our American values, our Western values, and not those of the Chinese. And by the way, they didn't mention you because you are nothing. You're not writing anything. He doesn't talk about African there because we're not players. He's worried about the Chinese. They must worry about us if we're doing something. Let's get doing, Professor. Let's get doing. What about the Chinese? Are they Father Christmas? Minister, are they Father Christmas? Certainly not. Our Chinese friends, we love our friends, but they're not Father Christmas. Tonight, go to Deep Sea R1 and ask it. Can you explain what happened in 1989 at Tiananmen Square and give us the reasons behind it? It will say to you, I'm sorry, I cannot answer that question. I'm an AI assistant designed to provide helpful information and harmless responses. So for the Chinese, talking about Tiananmen Square is harmful. Don't talk about it. So you write your own AI systems and put your own measures out it. Otherwise, it won't answer. It says, I don't know about that one, because the Chinese have put it in there. Let us write our own AI systems. As I do this, I want to make sure that AI is not an isolated technology. It's part of an ecosystem of technologies. When we use it for SDGs, we use it with other technologies. Mobile telephony, fixed broadband, e-commerce, cybersecurity, blockchain, fintech, agritech. What we're saying is AI is part of an ecosystem. Nanotechnology, synthetic biology, quantum computing. In particular, quantum, again, Africans, quantum is not ready yet. It's work in progress. It's not mature yet. Why don't we become part of the work around quantum? Yes, when quantum comes along, your phone will be 1,000,000 times faster. Your computer will be 10,000 times faster. If you are cracking a code, if you took me a year to crack a code, it took you 5 minutes. Not yet done. But when you combine this with AI, it will be another revolution. That 8 year we spoke about, that superintelligence will be achieved sooner than we think. Synthetic biology, we are modifying existing genes. We are creating new genes. We are resuscitating animals that are extinct. And when you combine synthetic biology, you have a new wave. There's a book there that talks about combining synthetic biology and AI. Coming to why we care, economics. This year, it is projected that AI will contribute $11 trillion to global GDP. 10% coming from one technology. This is massive. And then generative AI, $4 trillion. Just one type of AI. Comrade Ken Sharp, this is very ambitious. The more conservative one is from McKinsey & Company. They say, well, we'll get to 15.7 in 2030. But this year, they're projecting 7, which is a lot of money. Even the conservative numbers are very large. 6.4% of global GDP from one technology. This is why everyone and their grandmother is talking about AI. That's why every time there's AI on TV, it's money. From 7 to 15 in 2030. Here's the question. What is the driving force behind the massive economic impact of AI? In one way, productivity. When they ask you, why is AI such a big deal? Productivity. Productivity. That's the answer. AI has a staggering impact on productivity, or productivity per person, productivity per capita. This is the reason why AI is driving the economies of the world, because of its impact on productivity. What do we mean? Where an employee was producing 1,000, they're now doing 10,000. Where there was 1,000, 20. Where there was 1,000, 50,000. Can you imagine in your company when you move from 1,000 to 50,000? This is the reason why AI is driving. Now, what we're saying now in development is, if AI is driving productivity this way, why don't we channel this productivity to solve poverty, to solve hunger, to create access to water? Two other reasons: enhanced efficiency, increased innovation. So always remember those three. The reason why AI has taken over the world in terms of economics is because of productivity, efficiency, and innovation. Here's the dramatization from Goldman Sachs. 95% of the work that used to require 6 people and several weeks is being done in minutes by an AI system. Only 5% requires human beings. And by the way, their work is complicated. They're the most powerful financial consulting firm in the world. And if they're saying that 95% of their work, which used to require 6 people and multiple weeks, is now done in minutes by an AI system, what about you with your not so complicated works? Again, productivity. The AI effect at its finest. Just to make sure you understand, those numbers are huge. These are the GDPs of the world. So a generative AI alone is equivalent to the Japanese economy. And of course, it's bigger than South Africa, Nigeria, and all of us. All of us together as Africans were 3.4. We're smaller than one type of AI. We are talking about Minister of Public Service, Labor, and Social Welfare. Jobs are in trouble. There are 3 things to remember. There is going to be job destruction. Get over that. Mabasa achapera the AI. Job destruction, job losses. That's the bad news. The good news is there'll be job modification. Most jobs won't die. They'll be modified. Remember, human augmentation. Even better, there will be new jobs created by AI. So our job, minister and colleagues, is to make sure that we reskill the job losers. We reskill and prepare for the modified jobs. But more importantly, Minister Mavima, Mavetera, and Minister Moyo, we need new skills, capabilities, and competencies to take advantage of the new jobs. And of course, continuous reskilling and education. Now, as we address SDGs, because remember there's jobs in that SDGs, we must make sure that the new jobs plus the modified jobs are much, much more than the destroyed jobs. This is what we call the job equation. If this job equation is satisfied, AI will be positive. There will be more jobs in Zimbabwe because of AI. There will be more jobs in Africa because of AI, if the equation is correct. New jobs plus modified jobs are much more than the destroyed jobs. It's not guaranteed that the equation will be correct. We must make it happen through regulatory framework, policy interventions, and skills. But as we try to comfort each other about the impending disaster, let's not give us a false hope. Look at this hope here. You won't lose your job to a tractor, but to a horse who learns how to drive a tractor. Okay, is that possible? This chap is trying to comfort a horse when the tractor came through and telling the horse that, no, don't worry. You won't lose your job. You only lose it to a horse who learns how to drive a tractor. A horse who never learned how to drive a tractor. So as we come up with our mitigation plans, let's make sure that we're not selling propaganda to each other. The new jobs, data scientists, machine learning engineers, AI software engineers, data engineers, AI researchers, AI domain experts, agriculture, education, AI ethics, and AI prompt engineer. I see the engineer teachers are here. I see Professor Nyemba is here. We want what's called a prompt engineer, a professional who specializes in designing, crafting, and optimizing prompts for AI models, particularly LLMs. For a start, Professor Nyemba, none of your professors can teach this, can produce that prompt engineer. We need new teachers. Project managers, AI, a meta software engineer. We need that from NAST, we need that from CAT, and also from HIT. A Discord manager, a manager of social media platforms favored by gamers and crypto community. That's a job, minister. A smart contract lawyer, this one, Maduko, I hope you're here. A specialist who can ensure that an agreement made in the metaverse is encoded in blockchain layer used for the transaction. Now, Gwisai and Maduku, my friends, have no capacity to produce that lawyer. I know that at UZ, Gwisai and Nyemba and Maduka are on strike. Here's the good news. We need to fire all of you. From your vice chancellor too, out. Then we do fresh interviews and see who can produce a smart contract lawyer. If Maduku can't do it, we don't want Maduku. If Gwisai can't do it, stay away with your strike. I'm dramatizing that. For us to leverage AI, it can't be business as usual. And to the students, some of you are here from the university, from high school, we have a new message for you. Show me what you can do. Don't show me your certificate. I got an MBA from Harvard. I got a PhD from Oxford. I got a BSc from UZ. I could care less about your little certificate. Show me what you can do. In other words, in addition to getting the certificate, make sure you have measurable and quantifiable skills and competencies that Econet is looking for, that CBZ is looking for, that are wanted by industry. We're shifting the emphasis from the certificate to competencies, to capabilities, and skills. Don't show me your certificate. Show me what you can do. What do we mean? Show me your problem-solving skills. Show me your critical thinking capacity. Show me your ability to learn how to learn how to unlearn, learn how to relearn. Show me your capacity in terms of financial literacy. Show me your digital skills. Show me your AI skills. Show me your entrepreneurial skills. Show me your knowledge of self. Knowledge of self is the beginning of wisdom. We need a mindset shift. Dr. Gurabatunu. A can-do mentality. We need possibility thinkers, self-confident people, self-respect, self-aware, assertive, and self-belief. These are the skills you must master in addition to your little degree. Every one of our students at UZ, NAST, CAT, HIT must do a course in entrepreneurship as a requirement. I would care less whether they're studying Shona, law, history, or philosophy. You must do a course in financial literacy, a course in entrepreneurial skills, a course in AI, basic digital skills. This is what we need to give our young people if we're going to solve the challenges that we're doing with our SDGs. And these are the specific AI skills. We are pushing employability. How many of your graduates are employable? Are you measuring it? How many of them can go and form companies, create jobs? We must create job creators. We must produce job creators. All universities must measure employability. They must measure the capacity to build companies. Another area where we need to work on to drive away poverty, to make sure Africa succeeds, is the area of what we call the AI semiconductor industry. AI does not run on water or air. It runs on hardware. When you say cloud, when you say ChatGPT, it's running on a machine in Silicon Valley. That machine has a GPU. That machine has a CPU. That machine has an NPU. The chips that drive AI. In the world, the key fabricators of chips is Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC. But in terms of AI, it's NVIDIA. Just watch this. This company crossed over $4 trillion market cap on the 9th of July. It is the number one company in the world. They don't do AI, just the hardware. They're the biggest company in the world, ahead of Microsoft, ahead of Apple. Today, I just checked before I came here, the market cap is $4.39 trillion. One company. If we're going to address poverty and hunger, we must make sure some of these resources, without nationalization, we must find a way to channel these resources to poor communities to fix the world. This is one company. The biggest company in the world. It started this thing last year, 19 June. Just to show you how big it is. Bigger than France, this company. It's bigger than Russia, bigger than Canada, bigger than Brazil, bigger than the collective GDP of Africa. Just to show you how big, the many international CEOs of companies. This is NVIDIA compared to BHP, compared to Rio Tinto. The economy is now AI. If you thought mining would drive the world, here's a comparison of the biggest companies in the mining sector compared to this one company. If you thought Coca-Cola was big, Ford was big, GM, look at them compared to NVIDIA. Netflix, Comcast, McDonald's. What we are saying in this chart, when you say economics today, you can't talk economics without talking about AI. Look at NVIDIA, look at Meta Alphabet, all those top three are all AI driven. So AI is running the world. Not cars, not TV, not McDonald's, not Coca-Cola, not Walmart, not Amazon. AI is the economy. So if we're going to address poverty, address access to good health and education, We must use AI because AI is now the economy, not mining. And you can see a dramatization that AI is dominating everything. And here's the message from the owner of NVIDIA, just 2 weeks ago. He says, AI will create more millionaires in the next 5 years than the internet did in 20 years. He's worth $155 billion, by the way, he as an individual. He's a $155 billionaire. His company is $4.39 trillion. Now, UNDP, World Bank, Zimbabwe, you must ask a different question from Jensen. Why don't we ask this question? How many people will AI help move out of poverty? That's my charge. That's my ambition. That's my agenda. He's talking about millionaires being created by AI. I'm saying, can we not use AI to move people out of poverty? We must ask ourselves that question. China was able to move 800 million people out of poverty in 40 years. What did they do before AI? 800 million people out of poverty in 40 years. Right now, the Chinese and the Americans are the leading AI superpowers. China is producing 1.4 million engineers a year. 1.4 million engineers a year. America, 100,000. China is likely to win this war. But our question is, we are not interested in creating millionaires or beating the Americans. We just want that. Can we put our minds together and say how we can get reduction of inequalities using AI, sustainable cities using AI? That is why I wrote the book. That's what I'm trying to address in the book. But I've shown you the power of AI. I've shown you AI is the economy. That is our mandate. But of course, there are mixed messages. Just last week and a couple of weeks, people are saying, no, if you use too much of ChatGPT, you lose your critical thinking. Research from MIT is showing that. So there are issues there. Yeah? And Sam Altman saying, it's a bubble. So there are mixed messages, so that you know. But we could care less. We want to concentrate on this one here. We must do 3 things, Vamakoni. The first one, we must use AI to solve our problems. As Yukwani, it's not enough. We must build our own AI systems, which are more relevant to us. Then number 3, we must play in that space of the hardware. Why? Where are the minerals coming from? Critical minerals in the DRC, in Zimbabwe, in South Africa. Rare earth minerals. Why don't we leverage those minerals to partner with NVIDIA, to partner with TSMC, so that we get a piece of that pie and help our people? Right now we're selling raw platinum, raw lithium. Let's build the batteries, the catalytic converters in Zimbabwe, in the DRC. Anyway, we're saying that we must participate in the hardware by partnering. Cassava, through Econet and Strive Masiwa, is already partnered with Cassava to bring the GPUs into Africa. But unfortunately, Zimbabwe is not part of that. I'm not sure. I think the government of Zimbabwe will explain why your own billionaire is not working with you. We must participate in the hardware. What Strive has done is great, but we can do more. We want to be involved in the design and the fabrication of the GPUs. That $4 trillion must be shared with Africans, because the minerals are our minerals. We are saying, let us expand our circle of control, let us expand our circle of influence, because right now all we have are concerns and problems. But lest you get carried away with Engineer Manua, don't put the cart before the horse. Let's build the awareness. Let us build a basic infrastructure, electricity, digital infrastructure, compute infrastructure, data. Without data, there's no AI. Data is the foundation of AI. Financial resources, talent. we must make sure our countries are ready to engage for SDGs. AI governance, AI ecosystem, right mindset, we've already spoken about that. Education, energy, our Chinese. Why don't we learn from our Chinese friends how to do energy? Look at them. They're the top producing power country in the world. Without power, there's no AI. This business of the hardware of AI requires a lot of energy. That's why some companies are now creating their own nuclear power stations. Where are we? Zimbabwe, a deficit. Demand versus supply. South Africa, a deficit. Load shedding schedule 200. Zambia, the same. We must close that gap. We must close that gap. We must close, otherwise we can't do AI. We're just, pleasing ourselves. In particular, the hardware side of things, without AI we can't do. Just to show you how much energy is required. If data centers were a country, right now they're down there below Germany. In 2030, if the data centers in the world were considered a country, there will be only number 4 behind China, US, and India. This is dramatizing the importance of energy. If data centers were a country, the amount of energy they require in 2030 will only be number 4 after China, US, and India. We are saying without energy, there's no AI. Again, Dr. Makon, don't get excited about AI. You can't AI your way out of everything. Do the basics. We need effective and good governance, country governance. We need accountability and transparency. We need elimination of corruption. We're dramatizing this, but sometimes you can get carried away and say AI is the silver bullet. No, it's not. Deepening our democratic practice, free and fair elections, a shared national vision, a shared national strategy, an implementation matrix, and designing and building things. We don't build things, we just buy and service. These foundational things are required for our use of AI in SDGs. This won't work unless we do we are saying AI is not a silver bullet. We must address the foundational matters. So we are summarizing the contents of the book. We review why progress has been mixed and uneven across different countries, regions, and goals. We profile broad non-technology interventions. Then we specifically talk about technology as a driver. And then we go specifically to AI. Then we outline how AI can be used for every one of those SDGs from 1 to 17. We explore the use of AI for every one of them. And then we also say, 2030 is coming. So what happens? We also come up with a framework of scenarios beyond 2030. What is going to replace the SDGs in 2030? We discuss that. And of course, we handle the issue of digital imperialism, data colonialism. We put a premium on decoloniality and democratizing AI. And of course, we push for a framework. Vision, AI strategy, implementation matrix in country, region, and continent. I'm just going to share, just as I close down, I want to just share some elements of actual applications.
If your farm looks like a sci-fi movie, you're in the future of agriculture. The AI in agriculture market is booming, going from $1.7 billion in 2023.
Yeah, that, okay. Then drones in agriculture for spraying, for spreading.
A lot of people in the agriculture industry, growers, ranchers, academics, to bring about better, faster, and healthier workflows and yields. Not to mention costs. Drones are also...
Then the same drones, again, AI is a double-edged sword. The same drones are being used in Gaza, where the drones will decide who is the enemy. The drones decide when to fire. Gaza and Ukraine.
Little is known about the event, except that Israel used the swarm attack to strike dozens of targets, together with other missiles and munitions. Most media outlets reported this as an attack with multiple drones at once, but military experts believe that this was a true drone swarm attack, meaning that the drones communicated and collaborated in making collective decisions.
Okay, agriculture, we can use robotic things to do that. And then, the bombing of Iran, that machine had a pilot and a commander. In future, that machine will have no person. And 2.4 billion per plan. We are saying, why can't we have 2.4 billion to solve poverty? But that's American money. So you and I, where's our 2.4 billion? Can we use it for poverty?
It's the most expensive warplane ever made. It's invisible to radar, and it can deliver a nuclear strike without being seen. This is the B-2 Ghost bomber, the crown jewel of U.S. air dominance. With a price tag of $2.4 billion.
Mining, SD number 8. We talk about the economy now and jobs. Stockpile planning and optimization, grinding circuit optimization, flotation optimization, mining planning optimization, logistics, supply chain management, all that is in mining. Industrialization, that's SDG number 9, infrastructure. Look at our Chinese friends.
157 kilometers of highway. 10 AI-powered machines, human supervisors watching from control rooms. China just achieved the world's first semi-autonomous paving operation, and the implications are massive. The machines made thousands of decisions independently, while humans monitored every move. The machines arrived at dawn on the Beijing-Hong Kong-Macau Expressway. 10 autonomous giants, each one equipped with artificial intelligence systems that would make most tech companies jealous. At the center of this robotic army was the SAP 200C-10 paver.
Okay, we can have the drones do the building of a bridge, carrying all those pillars. Okay, energy, SDG 7. You see, AI is very interesting on energy. It requires so much energy, as I explained earlier on, but you can also use it to solve the energy problem. Okay? You can use it to solve energy problems, as we see.
Applications of artificial intelligence and machine learning for power generation. Hello, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we will discuss an exciting topic, applications of artificial intelligence and machine learning for power generation. With the world's increasing demand for energy, the power generation industry is constantly looking for innovative ways to improve efficiency, reduce costs, and minimize environmental impact. AI and machine learning are offering new possibilities to achieve these goals. AI and machine learning are revolutionizing the power generation industry by enabling advanced optimization techniques and predictive analytics. In this video, we will explore the various applications of AI and machine learning in power generation and how they transform the industry. Smart grids. Smart grids are a modernized electricity grid infrastructure that uses digital technologies to monitor and control the flow of electricity. They integrate advanced sensors, meters, and communication networks to optimize power generation, distribution, and consumption. AI and machine learning algorithms are used to analyze the data collected by smart grids to predict energy demand.
Okay, you got a sense of that. Renewable energy. Major applications of AI and renewable energy.
Artificial intelligence is revolutionizing the renewable energy sector in incredible ways. Imagine using AI for predictive maintenance, analyzing data from wind turbines or solar panels to foresee issues before they happen, saving time and money. Then there's optimizing energy systems. AI algorithms can balance supply and demand in real time.
Okay, you can use AI to clean up those panels. Okay, energy management.
Artificial intelligence, AI and energy management. Can AI help us use energy more efficiently? Artificial intelligence is used in energy management systems to optimize consumption, predict demand, and integrate renewable energy sources more effectively. Subscribe to Not Mi-
Okay, healthcare, just so you have a sense of healthcare. Okay, medical. See your alpha research, algorithms. Okay.
AI is transforming every aspect of healthcare. From guiding patients effortlessly through their appointments to creating more personalized, comfortable experiences. AI is reshaping care, capturing notes in real time so doctors can focus on their patients and giving them the insights they need to provide the best care. AI is helping teams analyze medical images to support faster diagnosis and treatment decisions. It's empowering doctors with
Okay, you get a sense of that, manufacturing.
Welcome to the future of manufacturing. Enter generative AI. Trend 1, predictive maintenance, saving factories from unexpected breakdowns. 2, quality inspection, no faulty products slipping through.
Welcome to the future of car manufacturing. In this video...
Okay, I think we got a sense. And then driverless cars and all those things are about distant work and economics.
Yes.
The Waymo driverless car, I want to spend time on that. And
the idea of a large truck barreling down the highway, carrying a heavy load and without a driver's hands on the steering wheel may seem strange and even frightening to some. Well, in China, that is exactly what's now being tested. Along certain routes, driverless lorries are being allowed to operate under supervision. And when it comes to smaller delivery vans, they're already sharing the streets with human-controlled vehicles. Our China correspondent Stephen McDonnell reports.
These trucks are driving on a public road without a human being behind the wheel. Driverless transport company Pony AI was given official permission to film a video showing just what its technology can do. Now it's running a pilot program, making deliveries from Beijing to...
Okay, then banking and finance, I'm just going to go through education. The key issue about education, Dr. Makoni, is what we call every teacher will have a unique teaching assistant, an AI assistant that is unique to that teacher. Every student will have a unique personal tutor, an AI tutor who is aware of the strengths of the students and their weaknesses. So we can use AI to improve the quality of education through what's called personalization. So 40 teachers, 40 tutors. 30 students, a tutor for each student. If you have 3 chemistry teachers, each one will have a different tutor. Because teacher number 1 might be very strong on organic chemistry and inorganic, but very weak on physical chemistry. So the tutor will take care of that weakness. If another one is strong on physical, inorganic, weak on organic, and so on, so each teacher will be studied and their weaknesses are compensated by the machine. So that is the key issue, personalization in education. Okay?
Hi and welcome to our channel. In this video we will talk about the use of artificial intelligence in education. As technology continues to advance, we are seeing more and more ways in which AI is being used to enhance the learning experience.
I want to say that heritage and then politics. Yeah, I think let's say just a bit of that.
The applications of artificial intelligence in politics and governance are diverse and rapidly evolving. Key areas include policy analysis and decision making, where AI can analyze vast amounts of data to guide policymakers. Public opinion monitoring uses natural language processing to analyze public sentiment on social media. Election forecasting employs a...
Okay, you have a sense of all that now. So all we're saying is AI can be used to drive all those SDGs, and then you can look at each SDG, and then look at the AI application, and we have some examples. But the book covers all that in the book. We want to summarize that. And then we do an analysis now and say, the impact of AI on the SDGs. What are the areas of direct impact, areas of indirect impact, and then areas of major changes and minor. All this is done in the book and analyzed in the book. The impact of AI on the SDGs is done. As we conclude, we are emphasizing the writing culture. Manua, where's the book?
We are writing one next year together.
Okay. Anyway, so we're trying to walk the talk in terms of production of knowledge. And I know some of them are political there, so you can ignore them. 5 of them are engineering, so engineering is winning. 5 versus 3. And this is the book we're launching today. We must have a writing culture and see how we can drive the SDGs. Don't only write, also read. Read other people's books. You know, the Chip War, Nexus, Ray Kurzweil, Nvidia Way. The only way we can understand these things is by reading other people and writing ourselves. People are scared of AI. Here's a book that talks about that. We are simply saying, yes, there are dangers of AI, but why don't we concentrate on the positives? Yes, understand the dangers, mitigate them. Why don't we concentrate on linking AI to human development? Why don't you try to improve the quality of life of people through relentless determination, unwavering effort, and leadership? We must have urgency. We must make AI work for us. We must use AI to solve our socio-political, economic problems. It's not a nice to have. It's an existential matter. And of course, all these things will rise or fall on leadership, political leadership, economic leadership, business leadership, civic society leadership, leadership in building things, designing things. We have a tragedy of consuming what we don't produce and producing raw materials for other people. Why don't we work on this beneficent idea, and why don't you drive the leadership in terms of adopting or creating of AI? Okay? As I conclude, Vamakoni, I want to emphasize that we must all work together to fix Zimbabwe using AI, using technology. We are all going to be judged by the performance of our country, the performance of our continent. It's important that we do well as a country. Ken, I used to go to the World Economic Forum as a young global leader, and I used to talk, as you can see, I talk loudly. And they'll say, yeah, Professor, very interesting. Where are you from? Then I refuse to answer. I keep talking. I'm from MIT, Harvard. No. Those are schools. Where are you from? I say, no, I come out from McKinsey Company. No, you don't come out from McKinsey. Which country are you from? Then sheepishly I say, eventually, I'm from Zimbabwe. And I come on. Professor Mutambara. If you are that smart, how come your country is not doing so well? How come there's cholera in Harare? You see, my superstardom, my rock star status is undermined by the bankruptcy of my people, by the bankruptcy of the continent. You will never be respected as a Zimbabwean until Zimbabwe has done well as a country. You will never be respected as an African until Africa has done well as a continent. So no, Makoni, you are no superstar until Zimbabwe is a superstar economy. I thank you so very much.
If I try to capture on my fingers, we must always observe the basics. It threw me back to the time when there was extensive discussions of what was then called the information superhighway. Very exciting, but also very intimidating. There are benefits, but there are also risks. Arthur says with certainty, jobs will be lost. how can we welcome something that will lose us jobs? But he also says new and more jobs will be created. So it's not something that we should be afraid of. The impact on productivity. It used to be threatening, frightening, amazing to read of Microsoft as being richer than countries. Now, NVIDIA is not only richer than some countries, it's richer than continents put together. This is mind-blowing. Arthur, again, thank you very much. His hobby was, which I am ashamed but honest enough to acknowledge, is Wamakuru, we must write. If he kept all this to himself, I mean, this is a fountain of wealth. If he kept it to himself, Minister Malete, Minister Moyo, chief executives, lawyers, and economists, how would we benefit? So of all the techno stuff that is given us, the most basic human message is let's share. Let's share what we have. Thank you. And thank you again.
Seguru Gutseni Mutambara. You make me very, very proud. And I'm keen to call him Gutseni because I want us to know Gutimun Wedu. The moment we use Arthur, sometimes it deflects the reality. You know, when I was going through the book, first of all, it was so big, but it was loaded with significant information, and I hope everybody manages to get a book for themselves. But for me, the thing that really I wanted to emphasize was the chapter where you're talking about critical success factors. The critical success factors for me, he talked about leapfrogging and decoloniality. For me, the key to our future is ourselves. We talk about poverty. I can assure you that AI is not going to help America or Europe help us end our poverty. This poverty is going to be ended by ourselves. We are the only people that can bring our people out of poverty. And I hope as you read this book and as you go forward, you keep on asking yourselves, what am I going to do to change this trajectory? Because it's not going to come from China, it's not going to come from America, it can only come from ourselves. And that's for me the biggest lesson I got from your book, Sekuru. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the next book. The only thing I want you to talk about is how we, as Africa, begin to build our own algorithms. Because if we don't do it and we keep on borrowing from somebody else, we will continue to be servants in this world. Thank you.
I will just go straight in terms of the key questions you asked. UNDP in Zimbabwe has been thinking about this because our Global Human Development Report title is on artificial intelligence, and how can we use to drive development, as Professor Mutambara has really articulated. But one thing which we thought as a way of moving in the right trajectory is in November last year, working with the Ministry of ICT, we invited Sophia, the humanoid robotic to University of Zimbabwe, the first African country to be visited by Sophia. And it was the AI ambassador for the United Nations. And it came here, it was able to address about 800 youth. The idea is for us to whet the appetite in terms of artificial intelligence. That's the first thing which we thought is we have to do to really stimulate appetite for people to really know what artificial intelligence is all about. The second one relates to what we are doing when it comes to the issue of artificial intelligence, agriculture, and climate action. First, we're currently working with a Japanese small enterprises called Pegara to do a kind of algorithm-driven drone to address queller birds, destroying our small grains. About 40% of our small grains are affected by this. So this is one of the things we are doing to do it in an environmentally sustainable manner. That's the second thing. The third thing relates to the Honorable Minister was with us just middle of last year when we launched the Gene Bank. This is cattle semen dissemination in Matopos. It has capacity of 3 million semen annually, second largest in SADC country, for us to be able to address the issue of food security. That's, again, one of the areas. And also, we have what they call automated weather system in 18 districts where weather situation at the district level is linked to the national weather system. There's so many other things we've been doing in order to really say, how can we use artificial intelligence to reduce poverty in Zimbabwe and also across the continent of Africa. So this is something we've been doing, and we're currently organizing a program on what they call the Mind Tech Challenge across universities and our youth, so that we'll be able to really focus on how can we use AI for predictive maintenance of mine machines. How can we use blockchain technology to do mineral traceability? And also, how can we use what they call AI for circular economy, which I've mentioned extensively in your report. This is really what we thought is really very good. And finally, we trained about 751 women and youth-focused SMEs on digital economy. We want our youth, women, to be able to stay in Zimbabwe and take advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area in terms of now some of them are now they've registered their companies virtually, they can sell their product without leaving Zimbabwe to the rest of SADC country. These are the issues, but I just want to say I really commend this book not only to the private sector actors, academia, the government represented by the Honorable Minister, and development partners that I represent, and students, because it is not only intellectually sound, but it is pragmatically viable. And I want to say congratulations and thank you, Prof.
I'm going to invite Dr. Olivia Mchena, and she will be followed by Minister Moyo, who will be followed by Beatrice Mtetwa, who will be followed by Mandiru Kuni.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman Simba, Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen. I first want to congratulate Professor Mutambara on calling us to action. This is how I look at the book. We are being called to action in our various capacities and domains. Secondly, I want to say that for me, the how part of deployment is what I see as the challenge. How do we deploy AI? I just want to echo what you said. We need to democratize AI, and what that means is address the digital gap. Secondly, make it relevant. Firstly, at local level, I like the way you link the global NVIDIA, and then we come back to Zimbabwe. But I also want us to go even to the district, as the UNDP rep has just said. Thirdly, to align it to our values. And I'm so happy because in your presentation, you pointed out to some of the dangers. I'm glad I'm no longer teaching at the university because I don't know who is submitting what is genuinely theirs and what has been generated. In terms of linking to the SDGs, I think we need a strategic deployment for each SDG. What can be done, perhaps in the shortest possible of time, to impact the greatest number of people in a manner that changes their lives. Let me illustrate. I noticed there's a colleague, please, my friend, wave. There's a young lady in Zimbabwe, you can go for Tofara online, who just by being on social media was picked by Microsoft. She's now certified to train women and young people in Africa. And my friend and I were part of one of her classes on women in digital business. And we are not talking of academics like me. No, we are talking of a small-scale, informal sector, women embracing digital prowess, if you like, to promote what they are doing. Secondly, democratize in terms of the actual figures. I am very, very worried that as people of my age and generation and as leadership, we do not seem to be consciously aware that young people are the majority in most of our African countries. According to the UN, by 2030, 45% of the African population will be under 30. They are the digital natives. They are creative, they are ambitious, and by equipping and skilling them as entrepreneurs, ethical leaders, and so forth, that transformation can take place much faster. I just want to say thank you for having planted the seed. I am quite sure it will grow and we will be very productive. I thank you.
Thank you. Let me recognize Professor Mutambara for a very foundational and highly impactful presentation, which presents a very powerful tone for this book. You will allow me to perhaps maybe do 4 minutes. You said 3, but I think I can do 4. It is a great honor to stand before you this evening at what I consider a landmark occasion, the official launch of the book, Deploying Artificial Intelligence to Achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The publication is much more than an academic reference. It is a timely and strategic guide for governments, development partners, researchers, and policy practitioners seeking to navigate one of the defining intersections of our time, the nexus between technological innovation and sustainable development is paramount. Artificial intelligence, once seen as a futuristic or even speculative field, is today an integral part of the global development conversation. It is transforming how we manage data, how we make decisions, and how we deliver public services. The authors of this book have made a commendable effort to bring this conversation down to earth, demonstrating how AI can be purposefully harnessed to support the SDGs as well as Africa's own Agenda 2063. As the minister responsible for SDGs and Agenda 2063 coordination in Zimbabwe, I'm particularly encouraged by how well this book aligns with our national vision. Under the NDS 1 and the forthcoming NDS 2, Zimbabwe is committed to building a digitally empowered economy. We are investing in digital infrastructure, supporting innovation ecosystems, and improving the capacity of our institutions to generate and use data. But we also understand that the journey does not end with infrastructure or innovation hubs. The real test lies in whether these technologies translate into better outcomes for citizens, especially the most vulnerable. AI can help us detect disease outbreaks in real time. It can personalize learning for students in underserved areas. It can enhance our capacity to deliver social protection and adapt to climate shocks. However, we must be equally aware of the challenges. For many developing countries, the promise of AI is threatened by the digital divide, by low levels of data literacy, and by ethical and governance questions that are still evolving. If left unchecked, these technologies could reinforce inequalities rather than reduce them. That is why this book is so important. It does not offer AI as a silver bullet, but as a set of tools whose impact will depend on how they are designed, who has access to them, and whether they are guided by clear ethical and human-centered frameworks. It prompts us to ask critical questions. How do we ensure data privacy in low resource settings? How do we build trust in AI systems? How do we guarantee that no one is left behind in the digital transition? These are the kinds of questions we must confront now, not later. And this publication gives us a solid foundation to begin those conversations, both nationally and across the continent. Allow me to commend the authors and the institutions behind this work. You have given us a resource that is not only informative, but action-oriented. Let us make sure that this book is not shelved away or quoted only in academic papers. Let it spark national dialogue. Let it shape public policy. Let it challenge us to pilot new approaches, especially at the local level, where data gaps are most acute and where innovation can have the most immediate impact. As a country, Zimbabwe is already taking steps in this direction. Through ZimStat and our SDG Secretariat, we are investing in interoperative data systems, promoting disaggregated data collection, and working with partners to build capacity in statistical modeling and AI tools. But there is still more to be done, and this book strengthens our collective toolbox. In conclusion, I want to thank all those who made today possible, from the authors to the development partners and experts in attendance. Your work reminds us that technology must be in service of people, not the other way around. It is up to us to ensure that AI becomes a force for inclusion, justice, and sustainable progress. Let us read this book not only with curiosity, but with urgency. I thank you, and I look forward to seeing how we will collectively turn its ideas into action. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the thank you. The reason why, even at my age, I have a lot of respect for AI, and I loved others' presentation once more because it's so balanced. It's so balanced. It gives you the positives, the negatives, but at the end of the day, that's what life is about. There's no life where it's only positive. If there's no negative, then how do you know there's a positive? If it's not cold, how do you know it's hot? So that's what it is. That's what life is. So my take is this. I was intimidated myself by Google. Just imagine. When was Google? 20 years ago. I can't remember when it was, but when Google showed up, I was simply a very comfortable, confident professor. Then I started noticing some upstarts were beginning to know about my subject than I did, because they would go to Google and find out. So I then realized, even at my age, I had to use these tools. So when AI showed up, and definitely with this kind of positive vibe, I jumped on it as well, at whatever level I am, just to keep up, because people, there's 2 or 3 things that I want to hone in on what Professor Mutambara said. The first thing is, and I'll use myself as an example, I went back to my own department at UZ, and I was with Olivia in the same department for a while. Remember, I did a textbook on Zimbabwe's agriculture in 1994. Okay, I was asked to do a 2nd edition, and so on. Now it's 3rd edition. I've been back to my department. The entire faculty of agriculture, there are more people better trained than I was. They are better researchers than I am, but they have not written one textbook. Still, this one textbook I wrote 30 years ago, they are still forcing students to read. It's ridiculous. With AI, if I was still 50 years old, I would write another 10 textbooks in the next 5 years. Because with AI, the advantage we have is most of our own knowledge, indigenous knowledge, is not there in the internet. So what you do, and I learned this from a Japanese professor about 10 years ago, who had listened to me give what I thought was not as brilliant as Professor Arthur, but it was also brilliant. I even got a standing ovation. But the Japanese professor said to me afterwards, that was good, but you still don't get it, you Africans. I said, so what? Here is how the Japanese did it and how we can use AI, following what Prof was saying. He says in Japan, after the Second World War, we lost the war, but when decided we're going to take over a number of industries globally. So we take an industry, motor industry, study everything that is known about manufacturing cars, everything. We even establish an institution to do that. By the time we're done, we don't care how long it takes, we know everything that is to be known about that industry. You add 0.001% of new knowledge, you're ahead of the rest of the world. Within 10 years, they'd taken over the whole global industry, motor industry. They did it with electronic industry and so on. So thanks so much, Prof, for the unfortunate thing is, people like yourself, Prof, you're always ahead of time. So there's a little frustration sometimes. We don't catch up with you. The Africa is trying to catch up. The trick is to live long enough, like I've done. And some of your ideas, you'll see them come to fruition. Thanks so much, and thanks, Ngoma.
Thank you.
For looking after the young men. Thank you.
I'm going to try to give you 3 nuggets in 3 minutes, but I've seen there's a precedent of 5 minutes per speaker, so please allow me. But I'll start by saying, when I heard the comment about how to eradicate poverty, it really touched me deeply, because this is the key to everything else for me. All of the 17 goals or 19 goals are based on that precept. So I asked ChatGPT-5, what is the most effective way to move as many people as possible out of poverty in Zimbabwe with a $100,000 investment? May seem like a small amount. And in 44 seconds, it gave me a practical, high-level summary of how it should be done. It said create village savings and loan associations, VSLAs. And in that, it said from the 100,000, 1,000 people will be removed from poverty. By the way, it's about a 10-page document. If you're interested, I can send it to any of you. So I thought to myself, well, if I invest $1 million, I will take 10,000 people out of poverty. And I will do that. It's my commitment tonight. But let me also say something about AI and about what the professor is talking about. The last time I talked at this event, I gave a lot of technical comments. And tonight I'm just going to give you practical nuggets. So the first one, if you can bring on the screen the picture. A few days ago, as you know, And the good professor always says when he was in government that a nation without a vision, it's a biblical saying, perishes. But I also say a company without a vision perishes. And our vision in West Prop is to put 1 billion bricks in the ground by 2050. So talking about bricks, we invested in a brick factory, which produces about 30 million bricks a year. And with the expansion over the next 25 years, we are confident that we can produce the 1 billion bricks in-house. So I asked AI the other day, we started manufacturing pavers. And by the way, I'm giving away a commercial secret, so please, West Prop technical team, forgive me. But I was not happy with the color of the pavers, because the pavers in Zimbabwe were all light gray. And we're about to launch the most exclusive development, not only in Zimbabwe, but on the continent. It's one of the top 5 in the world, called the Hills. And we're building a beautiful grand entrance with an asphalt road. And in front of the entrance is pavers. So I asked AI, give me the correct color of pavers to blend into the asphalt road. And it produced the following. Have you got the image, Mark? Hopefully you'll get it. The second image, I said to it, now that you've shown me the difference of how the blend will look between pavers and asphalt, show me how it will look on a gatehouse. And it produced a gatehouse. Of course, it's not nice design as our one at the Hills, but very reasonable. And then I said to it, in phase 2 of this development, we have a tennis academy and a 5-star luxury hotel, and I want something more natural looking with 2 colors, 1 color for the road and 1 color for the pedestrian paths. And it produced the third image. So what I'm trying to demonstrate to you tonight is AI is real. It's not something that will happen in the future. It's something that we're already using now. The second nugget I want to give you is 2 sayings. The first one is from Dr. Seuss. And he says, if what you see is all you see, then you will never see all there is to see. And this is a true saying about our perception. Because unfortunately, 95% of reality is made up of our perception, but it's not always factual. Do we see the glass half full or half empty? Or as a friend of mine once said, as overflowing. That is based on your own mindset. And our biggest enemy in Zimbabwe is our own minds. The next saying is one that I gave to my daughter every night when she went to sleep. It's a poem about a wise old owl who lived in an oak. And the more he saw, the less he spoke. And the less he spoke, the more he saw. Why can't we all be like that wise old bird? So my concluding presentation to you in a few minutes is the vision of the future of Zimbabwe. The vision that I believe all of us can build together. And my message to you tonight is, this vision is not based on AI, but on reality of bricks in the ground. And if we can do this for Zimbabwe, imagine what we can do with AI. Thank you very much.
Professor Mutambara, distinguished guests, it's my privilege and honor to be here. Thank you for the invitation. In representation of the EU delegation to Zimbabwe, of course. I would have a lot of things to say about AI in my personal capacity, but today I will limit myself to express at least our vision of EU in terms of AI. I would skip the part of my speech which was dedicated to the SDGs themselves and the link with AI, because it has been brilliantly and eloquently explained by the professor. So I will focus directly in some part of what has been explained, and which is linked to opportunities and risks which are created by AI. So indeed, artificial intelligence has the power to accelerate progress on each of the 17 SDGs, from precision agriculture that combats hunger, to AI-powered diagnostics that improve health outcome, to energy system, smart energy system that fights climate change. But the book also rightly warned of the risks. Digital imperialism, I like this expression, I learned it. Data colonialism, that's very interesting, and the widening technological divides. this is one really of the preoccupation that we can have. As the EU, we share the view that technology must empower, not exclude. It must be developed and deployed in a way that upholds human dignity, transparency, and fairness. In the EU, we see AI as a tool for human-centric and sustainable development. The EU Artificial Intelligence Act, maybe some of you don't know yet about it, it's the world's first comprehensive AI regulation, enforced since the 1st of August 2024. It balances innovation with safety, because of course we all see what AI is capable of, and not talking about what super intelligence is coming, where AI would be more intelligent than ourselves, and able to make its own decisions based on its own emotions. Think about it, what it means. It balances innovation, as I say, with safety, categorizing applications by risk. So it is a risk assessment, and then the whole act, the whole regulations takes into account different levels of risk and then regulate accordingly. Meaning from prohibiting unacceptable uses of AI to regulating high-risk systems with transparency and oversight, and offering much lighter rules for minimal risk cases. Recently, the EU finalized what is called the Code of Practice for General Purpose AI, reinforcing safeguards around transparency, copyrights, and risk assessment, especially in powerful AI systems. We also believe in the importance of international partnerships, which is one of the SDGs. Bringing together governments, private sectors, academia, and civil society to bridge this digital divide gaps that we are mentioning, and ensure that emerging economies can shape their own AI future. And I really like the fact that we mentioned that one of the goals would be not to take systems coming from China, America, or Europe, but build AI from Africa. How can we help to do that? The EU AI Act is not only about Europe. It sets a global benchmark that African countries can draw on to develop their own framework, protect their citizens from harmful uses of AI, and attract investment based in trust. Importantly, it puts people at the center of AI, which is essential to avoid the risk of data colonialism and exclusion. The EU is also committed to sharing knowledge and supporting African partners through programs like African Union EU Digital Partnership. This program exists already. 200 million available for different programs around the world. And the Global Gateway, initiatives, which you might already have heard about in our different campaigns. In that sense, the Act is as much a tool for international cooperation as it is for European regulation. On that, I have to say that Professor Mutambara's book is more than an academic contribution. As one of my predecessors said, it's a call to action.
The EU stands with you in championing AI that is inclusive, decolonial, democratic, and right-respecting. Congratulations on this significant publication, and thank you for inspiring critical conversation on our shared future. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. I would like to recognize the professor here and all other dignitaries present. And let me respect the protocols that other people have recognized before. Actually, I was with the professor last week in Vic Falls at the inaugural AI Summit, where he presented, but not to this extent. So, Professor, you were concealing information, right? I also bought a book, actually. The book that he sold me was this one. He didn't sell me the book on the SDGs, so I've been reading this book. But I would really like to thank the professor for this call to action in Zimbabwe. And my takeaways from this presentation are 5 key points, essentially, on the prerequisites. I always focus on the prerequisites because if those are not in place, we are unable to do AI in Zimbabwe. And I'm going to summarize those in 5 points. But these essentially focus on energy provision. We need to end energy poverty in Zimbabwe. We know the story of ZESA, and I don't need to expand on it here. But most importantly, the whole issue of having data, creating our own data banks in Zimbabwe, because without AI, without data, there is no AI. And I was very happy at the Vic Falls conference, where I was presenting, by the way, to know that our own Tel 1 has got the first data bank in Zimbabwe. And it's growing. They are collaborating with other organizations like the Harare Institute of Technology. And we are getting there. Slow pace, deliberate, consistent, but with results. Now let me get to the issues I'm concerned about, and this is about the prerequisites. We can talk about everything else, but if we don't put that in place, we are going nowhere slowly. Energy and data. So what are the 5 key reasons why energy provision and data sovereignty matter for AI in Zimbabwe? Number 1, our foundation for AI infrastructure has to be reliable, affordable electricity. What I learned from the Vic Falls conference was we can install all the solar we want in Zimbabwe, but for AI to be successful in Zimbabwe, we need energy from ZESA. ZESA has to deliver. Renewable energy is not going to be sufficient. So a hybrid approach is what we need. Energy poverty limits AI adoption and outcomes. If households and businesses lack power, access to devices like phones, laptops, sensors, and data plans drops, undermining AI-driven solutions in agriculture, health, education, and public services will be compromised. But after Vic Falls, I managed to bump into an article by a Chicago-based coder. She's into AI. And she indicated, she's Nigerian, and she indicated that our own developers are critical. We need to have our own people who are used to our networks, our Wi-Fi's, cutting us off. Because in Nigeria, that is the same situation. And those people, when they are developing for Africa. Because that context within which they are working is relevant to the limitations that we face on a daily basis. The last 2 days, I don't know about you, but a lot of people have been complaining about connectivity. So this is the environment that we find ourselves in Zimbabwe. Around the fact that, connectivity is just not reliable. So we need people like Ken Sharp with big bucks to put money into research, Shingi Mutasa, to fund young people, put more labs at Harare Institute of Technology. In fact, Tel One has got a lab that they are funding at the Harare Institute of Technology. We've got many institutions of learning here. We've got young people in Zimbabwe, and let's have those labs going. Properly equipped and with enough energy. I would like to thank the professor for planting a seed into all of us. And let's do this. Thank you.
You see me limping, Prof. These are the consequences of eating too much meat. Last week I was performing in Birmingham and Bradford and in a festival called Inkaba. So, Zimbabweans invite you for barbecuing a lot. And that's the challenge. So, anyway, Professor Ongjomile, he knew I was out. And then when he realized that I was around, just yesterday he said, "Can you come and perform?" I said, "But I need to do something relevant to AI." And he said, "No, don't worry." So he wrote a poem for me. I suspect that it was AI generated. But you know what? I'm not sure. So the poem is still called My Daughter, from my book called My Daughter. So I don't know which one to start with, whether his or my version. Maybe I start with my version, and then you will see what he then tried to do. So, ladies, do you know that all men are poets? Right. Yes, they are. Remember, when the teacher was busy teaching in class way back on a blackboard using a chalk, Mom, we were busy writing little poems and passing them under and saying, "I remember, Tandi, me and you, Tandi, seated by the bank of the Zambezi River, and the water was flowing and the wind was blowing and the sky was blue, and so the stars were twinkling. Tandi Sitandwa, I love you." I remember we sat by the bank of the Zambezi River. I was the fisherman and you were the fish. I was the hunter and you were the hunted. Tandi Sitandwa, I love you. That's what we used to do when the teacher was busy. And when we became fathers, later on, we thought, those poems we used to write or direct to other people's daughters may easily be directed to my own. So, on behalf of men, I wrote this one. My daughter, When I demand that you be home before dark every day, I, my daughter, do not hate you, dear. I am merely trying to protect you from the jaws of the drooling hyenas that love to feast in the dark, from the panting leopards stalking you like ghosts almost ready to leap at you, from the hungry lions silently eyeing you, smacking their lips ready to pounce, from the jumpy monkeys leaping from tree to tree and from branch to branch with no particular base. My dear daughter, tell me, what color is the chameleon? So, when I say be home before dark every day, I am merely being dutiful as a father, man. I am doing what mothers should do. It is my duty to protect you from the black mambas that hate to miss a target. They all want to win your heart, dear. And remember, the python preys on its victim by changing colors. Oh, those rainbow colors, aren't they beautiful? Daughter, take heed. Darkness has no eyes. And here is to the professor now. So, because I didn't have time to write on IE, I said, so, Prof, remember, we used to be together at university, and he was exactly what he was exactly like this. Mashagada, am I right? Matu, are you around? Kwisa, any of our classmates, college mates, can I see? You are teaching us. He was the, yeah, that's what Prof. Mandi produced. So anyway, I asked him to give me some form of direction. And this is what he wrote. My daughter, watch out for the dangers of artificial intelligence. My daughter, embrace the benefits of artificial intelligence. Sustainable development should be your anchor, my daughter. But watch out for sustainable pregnancy which does not deliver the baby. My daughter, you must deliver economic transformation. Let transformative technology be your weapon of choice. My daughter, use this weapon to deliver the UN SDGs. But remember, my daughter, artificial intelligence is a double-edged sword. Use it with care as you pursue the UN SDGs. That's his poem, it's not mine. So, Prof, I'm Shope, and I will end by saying, Siobangoba Spakobas Bakonsa Spakotole, Ngoba Sin Ngaba, Yankani Sin Ngaba, Siobakakas, Bakries, Bakayes, Batukes, Bakatates, Bakabes, Bakatules, Bakatabule, Ngoba Sin Ngaba, Yankani Sin Ngaba. Yeah, a bit of nepotism here. Nyati. Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lai Chume. I'm a fourth-year computer engineering student, and I'm currently an intern at Chemtronics Global under the Department of Software Development. I would like to applaud Professor Mutambara for the profound presentation. And actually, if I'm to be honest, everyone here, most of us here, when it comes to artificial intelligence, we are mostly scared of losing our jobs. And I would like to actually thank him for actually assuring us that we're not actually, most of us, going to lose our jobs, but encouraging us to embrace this new era that we have embarked on, rather than being scared of losing our jobs as a doctor, as a professor. Rather, we should actually embrace this and learn to be able to use artificial intelligence in our respective fields. And I would also like to thank him for mentioning the fact that rather than just learning how to use AI, we should also learn how to make AI possible for others to use. We should also be behind the advancement of bringing AI into our economy, into our social lives as Zimbabweans as well. And I would also like to think of how he mentioned of how we should also look into advancing the energy sector. All sectors actually are also involved in this use of AI, because we talk of the use of energy, we talk of also, if we knew that, we also talk of the use of water in data centers is also, if we look into it, all other sectors are involved, education sector, so everyone is an interested party when it comes to artificial intelligence. So without adding or removing anything from this perfect presentation that Professor Arthur Mutambara delivered, I would like to thank him and also mention that we as young people are so interested and are enthusiastic, as it was mentioned, to put our input into this innovation of artificial intelligence. Thank you.
Talking about Professor Mutambara, we went to university together. I used to know him as a communist. Imagine the change now. Yeah. He used to read Marxism, Leninism, walking around with big books, Das Kapital and so on. But I think what he has retained from that, he has shrugged off the communist part. I think he has maintained the culture of reading and the culture of writing. And I think he has been consistent, and this is proof to that. So thank you very much, Prof. We come a long way. I stand here not as a poet, but as a development economist. You know, when we talk about development, just think of Southeast Asian countries in the 1970s and 80s. The leapfrogging that Malaysia did, Singapore, Taiwan, all those Asian tigers, they were able to leapfrog to developed countries because of the application of technology and innovation. Look at what China did. It is through the application of technology and technological innovation. Now, in the context of today, we're now talking about AI deployment to achieve growth, to achieve economic targets. So this book emphasizes the need and the crucial value of AI in the development trajectory. In Zimbabwe, we've got Vision 2030, right? And the economic strategy to achieve Vision 2030 is NDS 1 and now NDS 2. But how can we achieve Vision 2030 without deploying AI? We must go beyond and say, what will be the cost in Zimbabwe of deploying AI? What are the budgetary implications of deploying AI to achieve our developmental objectives? If I take a scan of our economy, I start with manufacturing. The state of our manufacturing is a UDI manufacturing sector with obsolete technology. How do we apply AI to such an obsolete manufacturing base? Food for thought. Manufacturing, we can apply AI on geological surveys. Right now, we don't know what is under the soil of Zimbabwe in terms of mining or minerals. But if we apply AI tools, I'm sure we can be able to quickly assess what is under the soil, what is beneath the soil, and market the Zimbabwean brand, you know, as a viable investment destination. In tourism, we can apply AI, the Zimbabwean brand. So, agriculture and any other, you know, sector of the economy to drive Vision 2030 objectives. So I think this is quite ice-breaking in the sense that we are now linking development to digitalization. We are now linking development to technology and in particular AI. That is what we were lacking in Zimbabwe for us to go forward. But development is about leapfrogging. Let's adopt AI now, not tomorrow. AI is not about the future, it is about today. I thank you.
Professor Arthur Mutambara, thank you very much for giving us, as the Zimbabwe National Chamber of Commerce, an opportunity to not only appreciate the work that you've done, but as I would say, to respond to the work that you've done. Ladies and gentlemen, there's obviously a challenge coming last in giving remarks. A lot has been shared, and I personally kept, debating with myself whether my remarks were still relevant. Mind you, these are remarks speaking on behalf of the chamber, potentially generated by a young man using AI, having put in the topic. But I will, from my remarks, and I think from what has been shared on this podium, ladies and gentlemen, I think the key thing, at least from a chamber perspective, is that as private sector and as business, we have a huge challenge. And that huge challenge is, what role are we playing as business and what role are we playing as the private sector in investing in artificial intelligence, in its adoption, in its use, not only in our businesses to drive growth and to drive productivity, but when we look at SDGs and we look at the overall development of the country. Investment in AI becomes a function of partnership, becomes a function of collaborating between key stakeholders, private sector itself, as I've mentioned, government, civil society, and the people at large. When we look at the use of AI, and many examples have been given, I keep thinking of our context. I keep thinking of the context that 26% of our economy is formal, which therefore means 74% is informal. And we talk of artificial intelligence. And then we talk about its use. We talk about being able to harvest data. And how do we do that in an informal and disruptive environment? And we are talking about a disruptive technology. It's food for thought. But again, underpinning all of this, ladies and gentlemen, and I think this is where Professor Arthur Mutambara's book can at least help us and guide us, from not only from a policy formulation point of view, but as entrepreneurs and as players in business and the private sector, is how do we use AI to drive productivity? How do we use AI in our business to solve local problems? The issue is now about localizing, having local context about how we solve problems. And I think it's been well said in various fora, in various books, that if you're going to be a successful entrepreneur, you've got to be solving a problem. So the challenge, Professor Arthur Mutambara, for business is very clear, I think, coming from your book, because you've not only been able to show the context at a global scale, but I would say we've, as private sector, also taking on the challenge to say, what is our role in the intentional and strategic adoption and investment of AI, so that we better the lives of our citizens here in Zimbabwe and we become dominant global players. With those remarks, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very much.
Prof, obviously from your presentation you have highlighted how artificial intelligence can be used to ensure that SDGs become a reality, particularly in Africa. But then my question, I think, which is quite a point of debate in academia, the issue of liability. Who bears the liability? Let's look in the healthcare sector, maybe in education. If there is any harm or there is any endangerment that has occurred, who bears? Is it the government, the corporate governance as well in that aspect?
Thank you, Professor, for an excellent job. But I strongly feel that as a country, it's really critical in order for us to catalyze and equalize and actually make sure that artificial intelligence really becomes a serious reality. But however, it's strongly critical in order for all of us to lobby and make sure that we do have e-governance policy within our central government. No matter what we might do, as long as we fail to ring-fence that we want to move the intellectual property route, particularly using artificial intelligence, will never make meaningful impact. I give an example with what we see in Kigali right now. Things are actually happening because they've managed to come up with a meaningful policy that safeguards artificial intelligence, which is really something that I think it's actually for us to go back to the drawing board collectively and make some meaningful impact. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Liability, very difficult question. You know, with AI, there's so many unknown unknowns. And there's so many unknown unknowns. So we don't know. So it's a fresh area because,
you know, the coder, the user of the AI, the institution. So it's a very fundamental question which we should pursue in research. The issue of liability when things go wrong. There are so many unknown unknowns. And so let's go and do the research and find the answer to your question. For Zimbabwe, for us to be able to implement AI, we need to do three things, which we have not done in this country. We need an AI vision in Zimbabwe. We don't have it. We need an AI strategy. We don't have it. But more importantly, we need a national AI implementation matrix. Who is going to do what? When are they doing it? Where are the sources coming from? How are you going to measure success or lack of it? How are you going to monitor and evaluate? Those three things are so foundational in Zimbabwe. Rwanda has done that. A national AI vision, a national AI strategy, a national AI implementation matrix. That last one, Professor Rukuni, is the hardest. It's very easy to dream and come up with a strategy, but doing is harder. Doing is more important than dreaming. So we are very weak at execution. Execution, execution, execution. You've heard the debate in industry that says, which is more important, Macheza? Strategy or execution? Wrong question. Execution is strategy. If you're not doing things, you have no strategy. So anyway, in Zimbabwe, we need to do things. But having had a national AI vision, a national AI strategy, and then the execution, execution, execution. But it's not enough. We must have, at SADC level, the SADC AI vision, the SADC AI strategy, and the SADC AI implementation matrix. We need numbers. Zimbabwe is too small to play in the game of AI. We must go the regional approach. It's not enough. We must go continental. We need a continental AI vision, a continental AI strategy, a continental AI implementation matrix. Those three layers, country, region, and continent, must talk to each other and harmonize. So when you talk about AI in Zimbabwe, it is harmonized to the efforts at SADC. When you talk about AI at SADC, it's harmonized with the countries and the continent. That's the only way we're going to crack it as Africans in terms of AI. The numbers, 1.4 billion Africans, collective GDP, $3.4 trillion. Our minerals, our critical minerals, working together. That's how we can leverage and talk to NVIDIA and say, NVIDIA, we got $4 trillion GDP. You're using our minerals. Our minerals in the DRC, in South Africa, in Ghana, in Zimbabwe, is one. When you do that, you can extract deals and concessions. So those are the things we need to do. We work on the nation, we work on the region, we work on the continent. And Rwanda has done its part. In the older book, Professor, the older book of the Global South, we have 5 case studies. Rwanda is number 1 on AI. Second is Kenya. South Africa is 3rd. They've got a big economy, but they're confused. I won't tell you where Zimbabwe is in that ranking. But just know that Rwanda has done very well. Kenya has done very well. We must learn from Kenya, from Rwanda. Beyond Africa, we can learn from Singapore, from Malaysia, from UAE, and from China and India. UAE was the first country in the world to have a minister of AI. If you are serious about AI, you must have a minister of AI. who only thinks and talks about AI. In this country and many countries, AI comes zukuru AICT. Kwete, AI is sekuru. AI must stand on its own as a ministry. UAE has done that. There are about 3-4 other countries now have a minister of AI. These are some of the things we can do, but let us learn from other countries in Africa, learn from other countries in the global south. I thank you so very much.
Thank you, Arthur. We could go on. I had the opportunity to be in the company of the late Mwalimu Julius Nyerere once. And we were talking about development. He told a small, short anecdote about Mother Duck and her 3 chicks. And Mother Duck said to her chicks, "You must fly, my babies. You must fly." And one of the chicks said, "But mother, how do we fly?" And Mother Duck answered, "Don't worry, my child, about how. Just fly." I hear Arthur this evening saying, yes, we need strategy. Yes, we need policy. We need institutions. But we must just do AI if we are to progress and if we are to prosper. And Arthur has demonstrated the first step to just doing it. Produce the knowledge, share the knowledge. I trust tonight has been very educative for all of us, has been really for me. I thank Arthur for taking the challenge to produce and to share. The challenge remains with all of us here to multiply what Arthur has shared with us tonight. If just each one of us shared with another 10 people, just another 10 people in different walks of life, we will be on our way to applying AI to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals for Zimbabwe, for SADC, and for Africa.